Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is going to be a palette battle video with all of my Huda Beauty eyeshadow palettes. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is going to be part of my ongoing series where I pick all of the palettes from one particular brand and I have them battle it out to figure out which one is my ultimate favorite, the best of the best palette that I own from this brand. And today we're doing Huda Beauty. In case you're new here and you've never watched one of my videos, hi, my name is Maaike, I live in the Netherlands, I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this greatly influences how I feel about makeup. I have been reviewing makeup for more than a decade. I love trying out eyeshadow palettes, as I Catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. So if that's something you're interested in, then I hope you'd like to consider subscribing. So yes, Huda Beauty, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 palettes by this brand. I used to have a couple of more, decluttered some in the past. Those are not going to be part of this overview. I have 4 of the larger palettes and the other 9 are going to be the smaller 9 pans. So let's get comparing. We're going to go over round 1, which is going to be a comparison of 2 to 3 palettes in every single step. And then I'm going to put the winners from like the first half up against each other and then the winners of the second half. And then we'll take the winners of those two and compare those as well. And that's going to give us our ultimate winner. So let me just get to it because I've got quite a few of these. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because a lot of these 9 pans actually kind of go together color story wise. I feel anyways. So I have 2 of the green ones. I have the Khaki Haze and I have the Emerald Obsession. So these are the green toned ones I have. And I tend to use these together when I use them. I don't tend to use these as standalones because I feel that, for instance, the Khaki Haze by itself isn't very cocky, but we get some pretty olives in this one. So I tend to supplement this, which is very brown and warm toned leaning, when you put it up to actual green shade. So for me, this is the green toned one I like, but this has the neutrals that go really well with the greens. So that makes me a bit undecided what I would want to do, but I think this one appeals to me the most. So I think I'm going to choose Emerald Obsessions over Khaki Haze in the first round. In round number 1, we also have these 2 like deeper palettes going up against one another. I thought that could be a good comparison. So I have the Nude Rich Obsessions and the Chocolate Brown palette as well. And to me, again, these are really nice complementary shades. I tend to use these together a lot when I use them. The Chocolate Brown, let me show you, is a little bit more of like a warmer, spicy brown sort of shade, whereas the Nude Rich has these berry tones in, and I feel they go together really, really nicely. I do think the Chocolate Browns has perhaps a little bit more contrast, and this is a palette I really only bought to complement other things I have from the brand with, because at the time, the new Nude was one of the larger palettes that they did, which I didn't own because it had so many pressed glitters in. So when they started releasing these 9 pans, I picked 2 of the neutral 9 pans over owning the 18 pan new Nude. That's sort of my thinking, but this by itself, it's a no for me. So I think I'm gonna choose the Chocolate Browns here just because it has a better contrast between lighter and darker things. And then I figured I've got 2 sort of like smoky, grungy, cool tone leaning things from the brand, even though this is a 9 pan and this is an 18 pan. First up, we have the Wild Jaguar. I don't think I'll be able to put these together into the frame though, but here's what that looks like. And there are shades in here I enjoy, but I don't like the entire palette. Again, much more of a companion palette for me. The shade I think that is the most special are the 2 shimmers that are here. I like this one. This is far too warm toned. I don't like the yellow tone gold. And this brown is too warm toned as well for my liking. So I think that I can already tell you that the Pretty Grunge is the one I will be picking for you here. This is just a little bit better. And I feel it has a very similar vibe now that I look at both of them. Maybe this can be the reason for me to say I'm going to declutter the Wild Jaguar, because even though it does have some special shimmers in, let me see if I can hold this up for you because my fingers are not cooperating today. Do you see what I mean? it's got such a similar vibe, these two together. So I think the Wild Jaguar is the one that I'm going to say no to, and then keep this one. There is some warmth in here, but it's not awfully warm, I feel. It still works for me with a more neutral undertone. This goes light enough, it goes deep enough, it has all the grungy shades. So the 18 pan Pretty Grunge is going to go on to the next round. So the ones we're going to be comparing in a second are these three. I'm going to have to pick the best one out of these three. In the second step of round one, we're going to also compare some purples. I have two of the purpley palettes. I have the Pastel Lilacs and the Purple Haze. We have this, which is very pretty. That's the Purple Haze. And we have Pastel Lilac, which is this. Again, it has the peachy tones. Huda Beauty and peachy tones, they just love it. So combined, they are very pretty. Of the two, though, I like this better for my skin tone. It's nice, but this works better if you have medium skin with perhaps a slight olive undertone, because some of the cranberry shades that are in here are really pretty if you have green eyes or something like that. For me, for myself, I like this one the best. So that's why I'm selecting this one, even though it has the two peaches that always throw me off. And then the toughest decision I think I have to make in this video is comparing these two, the Nude Light Obsessions and the Sand Haze. I skipped out on the medium obsession in the when those launched, because there were three of them, because I didn't love it, and I got the Sand Haze instead because this was so much better for me. And I have used mainly this one by itself. I don't use this one by itself very often, but this one I do. So here again, this does have nice saturation though, but I feel like these three shades, can I point it out to you? These three shades are too similar. There are pretty things in here for sure, but I use this one to bridge the gap between my Nude Rich and my Nude Light. So this one I think is the one that I'm not going to pick, and instead we're going to choose this one, which again, it has, I think, pretty similar. We'll compare it in a second to the Pastel Lilacs because I'm seeing similarities, but this one has always been one of my favorites, especially in the 9-pan section. Which leaves me to discuss the final step, which is comparing the three bigger 18-pan palettes I have. The oldest palette I have from Huda Beauty is the Desert Dusk. This is such a good warm toned palette. It has some purples, it's got warm tones, but it also has enough neutrals for me. And that's something I've always really enjoyed about this palette. When I don't know what to do with this palette, I use this in the crease and use a bit of cashmere all over the lid, pop one of the purples on the lower lash line, and it is really good. And I feel that this palette didn't get the credit it should have, because so many people were just focusing on the purpley tones and the fact that it had duochromes and saying that they weren't really great compared to indie palettes. But if you judge this entire palette by it like as a whole, and you look at what it actually does, like you have the warm spicy things, but you also have these cooler, very neutral everyday things with pops of purple and a glitter. It just does so much. So this has always been one of my favorite palettes in my collection, especially for the warm tones. I don't have that many warm tones in my collection, of course. So that's one of the reasons why I always keep this palette around, because it's giving me that, and there are other options in here that I enjoy, but I think I like the other two better. So this one, as much as I enjoy it, it's a no for me. Mercury Retrograde then, that's the second palette I have in this section of this little roundup, is one that I really enjoy. I feel that it has sort of like the best of both worlds of what we got in a lot of the 9-pans around this time. So you get those rosy tones, we get some neutral things that are a bit more warm tone leaning, some pops of like teal, blue kind of things, and purples. We get a neon peach kind of thing. You can go super pinky with it. It just has so many options, and I'm so sad that this one was discontinued because this is a really good eyeshadow palette. I used it again last month, and I was just reminded again how much I love this. I did go for a pretty boring look that I forgot to take pictures of. I do apologize. But yeah, this is good, but I do think that the palette from Huda Beauty that I like the best, I think, of these larger ones that I have, is still till this day the Rose Quartz. Rose Quartz is just incredibly good. They really aced it with this one for me. I don't love that putty shade that we get. We get some warmth, but most of it is cool toned. It can go very pinky. We get some purples. We get these taupey things. We get some mauve things. The only problem I run into this when I'm using this is that I don't always get the shimmer that I would want to go with some of the looks I'm doing. Like a lot of the shimmers are incredibly mid-toned. This is pretty much the only light shimmer that you get, and it's a duochrome. That's a bit of a shame. Like this has shimmer, but I feel that that's more of an overspray. It's not that shimmery. Not shimmering enough for me to use it in my inner corner. So that's only been the only gripe for me with this palette, is that it doesn't have something that really nice, that has that nice bright pop of something. But I love the quality of this, and I do enjoy the color story a lot. So this is definitely going to go on to the next round. So I now have round number 2 for you. And in round number 2, I need to pick between these 3. So the Emerald Obsessions, the Chocolate Brown, and the Pretty Grunge. I think that both of the smaller palettes here are not going to be my favorites. I like these, but they're not like very memorable in my makeup collection. So these are the 2 that I'm going to say no to for this round. And the one that's going to go to the final is the Pretty Grunge. I know it's the last thing I bought from the brand, so that could be why. But, I mean, this is essentially me in an eyeshadow palette. It has enough neutrals. You get those, like, purpley things that it has. It's got some mauve tones. Here again, I struggle getting the sort of shimmers I want to go with the look. And I don't love that this is a cream. I really, really don't. This is a little bit better than the Rose Quartz, I feel, because this is light enough for sure, but it's far too intense to use as an inner corner highlight. So if this had something like a little bit softer, more satin finish-ish for the inner corner, I think I would have liked it better. But this is going to go on to the final round. In the other section, we have these 3, of course, in case you forgot. We have the Pastel Lilac, and I was thinking, as I was talking about this one, these are quite similar. Like, this has more purple in, but this has the neutral things in. So I like both of these. This is really nice and light, but I don't love these warm tones here. If these were cool tones, I'd have liked it so much better. It's got such a pretty rose gold kind of vibe that I do really enjoy. But this one, I like the look of it. But again, I don't love these, like that section here. So there's always something wrong with Huda Beauty palettes for me. So I'm not going to be selecting the baby ones. Even though like the Nude Obsessions Light, I could definitely see as a winner in this video. Like, depending if I were to film this video next week, I might actually select that. But the Rose Quartz is now going to go on to the next round. I think this is the Huda Beauty palette I've raved about the most. And even though it doesn't have that light shimmer, I do think this has enough for me to offer. So it offers me enough that I can do a variety of looks. I can pull it more plum. I can pull it more taupe. So more neutral leaning as well. It's got those warm tones in that I can blend in there as well. It's got something that's a little bit more fun and pink if I want that pop of color. So it does do a lot. But now, of course, the big question is, ta-da, final round. Which one of these? And it's very tough, because this one is my tried and true. But I feel that this has a little bit more to offer. Like, this is a bit more one note. This has more contrast. So let me see. Can I put them side by side without breaking things? So I hope I don't drop anything. Yeah. Just by looking at these color stories side by side, even though the Pretty Grunge has some really nice grungy darker shades, like this for the fall winter season, this for the spring summer season, but this I can use year round. And the other one is just a little bit too saturated for me. I think the Pretty Grunge is better if you have a slightly deeper skin tone than I do. For my fair skin, I think the Rose Quartz is still one of the best ones, and this one I think is gone. But yeah, my best favorite Huda Beauty palette is, I think, going to have to be the Rose Quartz. Did anybody see that coming? Again, this is the one I've talked about the most, I think, on my channel, so maybe it's not a surprise. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. To me, it definitely isn't, but I didn't plan this out. I just feel that this is one of the best palettes I have in my collection. This has made it to, like, end-of-year favorites, all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes, and it's still an honorable mention for me, even though you can no longer buy this, as like one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes in my collection. So it really isn't that much of a surprise, but yeah, I know myself too well, I guess. So yeah, Rose Quartz is my favorite Huda Beauty palette. Let me know in a comment down below your favorite Huda Beauty palette. I would love to know. Thank you so very much for watching me today. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to watch one of my videos. I always love seeing your comments, so definitely type them up down below. Thumbs up this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make several videos every single week, and I will be back with a new video very, very soon. So I hope you'd like to stay tuned till then, and then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye.